Alright. Where stream? Twitch. Race Spec. That one. Yep. Party audio is working as it should. Streams up, chats up, we're all good to go. Fantastic. Well, just chill out for a couple of minutes, wait for everyone to show up, and we'll get underway. Hopefully that won't take too long. They're missing Luxury. Both Williams. Both Max. Seems like Nanda's missing, Coral's missing. Nexus is here. Both Alphas are here. Okay. So we're set to have 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, 13, 15. Alright. Hang on. No, I can't do that. 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17. Me can't count. Amanda's in the lobby. Hopefully won't take too long. It also seemed to have a new name as well. Copo Cupado. At least I'm guessing that's how you say that. Me no speak Portuguese. I'm guessing that's how you say that. It's nice to see a Brazilian back on the grid too. It's been a while. Remember seasons past there were Brazilians everywhere in America series. Some real quick ones too. Old lads from BRT years ago. What a different time. Genuinely had some of the best drives in the world, I reckon. Participating in this tier. Really fast, ludicrously fast. Give tier 1 Pacific Series blokes huge run for their money. Very fast. Hopefully that's all good with the OSD. Got the notes up. Might check Discord just for a tick. Rebellion has given the order, going in a minute. We'll get on with the show soon. No, it shouldn't be too far away now. Ready up signal has been given. People are readying up. Eventually the timer will pop up. Get qualifying on the way. Here's as well that formation lap is on. Interesting. Might be something worth talking about later in the stream, because leagues are flip-flopping between switching it on and keeping it off. We'll talk more about that later. Alrighty. Hello everyone and welcome to round 11 of the America's Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at Autódromo José Carlos Pace for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Interlagos, as it's more commonly known, was constructed in 1940 and has become one of the most well-respected racetracks on the Formula One calendar. You can pick almost any season that includes this iconic circuit, and the race would likely have an interesting story to tell. Whether it be last lap championship deciding overtakes, incredible comeback drives, or weather-affected chaos-filled races, Interlagos can and will do it all. The modern circuit on which we race on today measures up at 2.68 miles and consists of 15 turns and 2 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1 and Turn 4. Drivers can also attempt to pass into the right-handed hairpins of Turn 10 and Turn 8, so there are a plethora of overtaking opportunities available around the racetrack. Being one of the shorter layouts that we go on in the calendar, qualifying is usually incredibly competitive, so hopefully with this in mind we get to see an exciting session ahead. But before we focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous race in Mexico. There was one incident report, an important incident report at that. It was between Axis and Blockman. Their tussle through the stadium section on the very last lap of that Mexico City Grand Prix, and the stewards have deemed it to be a racing incident. No further action is the call from the stewards. So no penalties were dished out whatsoever. That means the final finishing positions from that race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, it is Axis who is leading the way on 238 points, followed by Blockman on 219. Top two separated by 19 points at the moment as we head into this Brazilian Grand Prix. Next is Saucy on 177. He is 42 points behind Blockman and 61 behind the championship leader. Rebel is next on 157, followed by KD, who was absent for today's race. He's 5th on 147 points. Next up in the Teams Championship, we have Alpine on 376 points, followed by AlphaTauri on 250. It's a huge margin between the top two in the Teams Championship. Rebel Racing are next, 11 points behind on 239, followed by Williams on 190, and then Ferrari rounding out the top five on 152 points. Got a few cars out on track as I speak. Try and find someone to run around with. Seems that Saucy's beginning a lap. Give you a tour of this 2.6 mile racetrack into Turn 1. The beginning of the Center Estes downhill corkscrew. Make our way out of Turn 2 and head around Curva do Sol, Turn 3. Exiting the corner, he'll open DRS and head down the Reta Aposta towards Descida do Lago, Turns 4 and 5 on the racetrack. Up to 5th gear, up to 6th gear as he heads up the hill towards Ferradura, turn 6 and turn 7. 6th gear, back on the power. He heads out of turn 7, will brake hard into the right-handed hairpin, that is turn 8. Around this short left-hand sweeper, that is turn 9, will head up towards the hairpin of turn 10. Braking hard, down to 3rd gear, clipping the apex, getting back on the power as we head down the hill through the tricky left-hander, that is turn 11. Up towards Jun Sao, the first corner of the final sector and arguably the most important corner on the circuit. We'll exit turn 13, head around turn 14, we'll open DRS and send it round the final corner, turn 15. Saucy will cross the line to set a 1 minute 8.694. He is currently just under 1.5 tenths off provisional pole, which is currently being held by JBH. Yes, Jun Sao, turn 12, the most important corner on the circuit, as that corner dictates how fast you go through the flat-out final sector. So if you get it wrong, you don't just lose time through the corner, you lose time all the way through that final sector. Drag King has crashed out. He's made a mistake. Where's that at? That's at turn 9. Right on board with his teammate. Where is he? Despawned. But I think he lost control coming out of turn 8. And, or rather turn 9. And put it into the left-hand side wall. A few cars now jumping up into the very low 1 minute 8s. Provisional pole sitter now is Rebel with a 1 minute 8.119. Unsurprisingly, Copo Cupado, who is a Brazilian, is doing quite well in qualifying. Who would have thought? He's only, what's that, 48 thousandths of a second behind. 38 thousandths of a second behind. Blockman, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, yet to put a time on the board. Championship leader Axis, I believe, is making his way out of pit lane. So you get to see what he can do during this session. 3rd gear out of 8. 3rd gear round turn 9. Up the hill towards the hairpin at turn 10. I believe that was Nico as well, jumping up to P6 with a 9 flat. Blockman exits turn 11. Up towards turn 12. On the brakes hard. Then back on the throttle. Uses plenty of the outside curb heading out of Jun Sao. Round turn 14 and up towards the final corner with DRS wide open. Building up towards 200 miles an hour, he crosses the line and takes provisional pole away from his teammate, but not by much, by 17 thousandths of a second. Nando on a flying lap, making his way through Descida do Lago, heading up the hill towards turn 6. Yellow's out, slow moving car through the final sector. One of the Williams, if I'm not mistaken. Nando makes his way into the hairpin of turn 8. The Black Baller has just set a lap at 1 minute 9.556. Currently second slowest of all out of the time set. Still got 3 cars making their way round. Yet to set a lap time. Out of turn 12. A bit sideways for Nanda as he applies the power. The back end kicks out, but he keeps it under control. The harsh driver will cross the line. Where will he jump up to? P6 with an 8.7 exactly. Axis making his way around turn 3. Heads onto the Reta Aposta. DRS open. Shifting into top gear. Heading towards turn 4. Hard on the brakes at the 100 meter board. Down to 4th gear. Back up to 5th. 6th gear. Exiting turn 5. 7th gear. Into turn 6. Drops it down to 6th gear. Keeps it in 6 out of turn 7 as he heads into the hairpin at turn 8. Round the left-hand sweeper of turn 9. Eventually reaching full throttle. Still ahead into the hairpin of turn 10. Late apex there, trying to get a really straight exit. Round turn 11 and into Jun Sao, turn 12. Down to 3rd. Up to 4th gear, 5th gear. Into 6th. Flat out through turn 14. He'll open DRS and head around the final corner. What's the lap time look like for Axis? It's good enough for provisional pole. It's a 7.984. He's beaten his rival Blockman by just over 1/10 of a second. Little Mick is up by 3.5 tenths to the middle sector. The McLaren driver will cross the line and jump up to P10 with an 8.912. Jay currently on an in-lap. I think JBH is on a flyer, making his way out of Curva du Sol. McLaren gets out of the way. That'll be Little Mick, who's just done a lap. JBH is down by 6 thousandths of a second to the first sector. Saucy on a lap as well, or rather, I think he's just completed a lap. He's still using battery though, as you can tell on the telemetry, so he's still pushing. AlphaTauri coming to a stop. That'll be Axis trying to get out of the way. JBH low on fuel as the back end steps out of turn 9. He heads around the hairpin at turn 10. Got on the throttle real early there. The back end just about cooperating. You could hear the wheel spin. You could hear the engine revving. He's well down in the middle sector, so he'll probably go back into pit lane. Copo Cupado out on track at the moment. Same with Rebel. Rebel is about to begin a flying lap. Currently P3 with an 8.119. Through the center S. Turns 1 and 2. A downhill corkscrew. Somewhat reminiscent to the actual corkscrew at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Nowhere near as dramatic, but you can see the similarities. Down by 2/10 in the first sector. Not a great first sector at all there for Rebel. But there's time to be made up here in the middle part of the lap. So many technical corners to try and negotiate. Brings it down to third gear. Gets back on the power. Modulating the throttle and brake quite nicely. Eventually reaches full throttle. The Alpine looking stable. Covo Capado making his way out of turn 3. He's invalidated this flying lap, so he's going to back off. Try and charge up the batteries again. Rebel's improved, but he's still down overall by 11 thousandths of a second. Will he duck back into pit lane? Will he complete this lap? He ducks back into pit lane. So a less than ideal first sector really hurt him. Goes back into the pits with just over 7.5 minutes left in qualifying. Captain Schmeg, I believe he's on an in-lap. Nico, the same. Jay slowing down. Getting out of the way. He doesn't really need to, but he doesn't know who's on a flying lap, who's on an in-lap, who's on an out-lap. No driver knows, really, because Mark, your race engineer in this game, is dead set useless and doesn't provide you with any useful information other than weather sometimes. And I mean sometimes. Sometimes he's actually completely useless. Nanda is up by 46 thousandths of a second to the first sector. A decent improvement, considering there's only 3 corners in the first sector, and one of them's completely flat out. Out of turn 7, heading up towards the hairpin at turn 8. Down to second gear. Back on the power. Up to third gear. Modulating the throttle. The back end of the Haas staying stable. As he heads around the hairpin at turn 10, will cascade down the hill. Through turn 11, up towards the middle sector, split. Up by 2.5 tenths. He found some time in that middle sector. Very tidy indeed from the Haas driver. With this kind of improvement, he'll be able to jump up to P6 or so. Gets around the final corner, up towards the line. It is going to be P5. He found even more time in the final sector. Sets a 1 minute 8.285. Ooh, Coppo's up by just over 1/10 of a second as he opens DRS. He will complete this flying lap, and he should jump up the order. He jumps up the order, alright. Jumps to provisional pole. 1 minute 7.916. Beating the championship leader by just under 7/100ths of a second. Axis getting ready for another flying lap attempt. He's got the battery switched on, DRS open. He will send it towards the center S. Entry speed of 204 miles an hour. You've hit the apex at about 73 miles an hour at turn 1. Flat out round Curva du Sol. Heading onto the Retroposta. DRS open. Shifting into top gear. Clock says to the first sector. He's up by 88 thousandths of a second. Using all of the track and then some at turn 4. But keeping 2 wheels on the right side of that white line doesn't invalidate the lap. Round the hairpin at turn 8. Third gear. Seems to be the go-to gear heading through the hairpins around this circuit. Third gear again. Back on the power. Then down the hill. Round turn 11. Clock says to the middle sector he's up by almost 2.5 tenths. He's found a whole chunk of time through that middle sector. Flat out round the final 2 turns. DRS open. Up towards the line. He should retake pole. He does so by just over 2.5 tenths. 1 minute 7.722. A lovely lap by our championship leader. That'll be the target for everyone else to try and beat. Smokey has invalidated this lap. He's got a decent charge left though in the battery, so he can have another crack. Alternatively, he can go back into pit lane, put on another set of tyres and wait till the final part of this qualifying session. He elects to go back into pit lane. A fair enough decision. So this is it. The shootout stage of this qualifying session. 3.5 minutes left. Realistically, these guys have one final opportunity to set a lap time. JBH coming out on track. The time left on the clock. If he makes a mistake on his first flying lap, he should have enough time to have another go. That's one of the benefits of coming out early in this final part of quali. One of the deficits, traffic. Everybody will be waiting as long as possible to set their time as late as possible. By going out early, there's a high chance you'll be impeded by traffic. And like I said earlier, because Mark, your race engineer, is literally useless, you don't know when traffic's coming. So you've got to pay attention to your minimap. If you don't, well, you could wind up in a whole lot of trouble. JBH will head around the final 2 corners. He hasn't turned on the battery though, so what I'm guessing he's doing, he's going to do a preparation lap. He's done an out lap, but this isn't going to be a proper flyer. What he's going to do is burn up some extra fuel, try and not wear out the tyres all too much, and get ready for another flying lap a bit later in the session. Smart thing to do. It's just one thing you've got to be a bit concerned about is your tyres. You don't want to burn them up too soon. Alright, got a few other cars on out laps. We've got Rebel getting ready for a flyer. Saucy on a flyer, making his way down through the Center S. Just over 1.5 minutes left in qualifying. He'll open DRS. Head down towards turn 4. Clock says to the first sector split. He's up by 71 thousandths. Rebel making his way around turn 3. He too will open DRS. Head down the Retroposta. Shifted into top gear. He's down by 16 thousandths to the first sector. And Alfa Romeo in front of him gets well out of the way. That's a good bit of driving there from the Alfa Romeo. Nanda on the lap. Saucy making his way through the middle sector. You can see all of the traffic. Have to try and deal with. Williams getting well out of the way. Rebel's got a bit of clear track ahead, so he can keep his head down. Nanda, he's got a lot of clear track ahead of him, so he needn't worry. Saucy up by 2.5 tenths to the middle sector. Round the final corner, up towards the line for the Red Bull driver. It's an up for P3. 1 minute 8.090. Rebel is up by 3 tenths of a second. Could he try and go for provisional pole? The answer is no. He misses out by 13 thousandths of a second. Copacabana making his way towards the first sector split. He's up by 73 thousandths to the first sector. Axis making his way out of Curva do Sol, down the Reta Aposta towards the first sector split. Clock says he's down by a 1/10 of a second. Got a lot of time to try and recover in the final two sectors. Blockman making his way round. Hairpin at turn 8, down the hill through turn 9. Copacabana making his way down towards the middle sector split. The Brazilian, what does the clock say? He's up by a 1/10, just over a 1/10. In order for him to try and take pole position, he needs to find another 1/10 through this final sector. Flat out from here to the line. DRS open. Oh, he validates at the final corner. It would have been good enough for P3. Blockman towards the line. He takes pole away from Axis. A 7.6. It's the time he's done. Axis does not improve. He is P2. Nanda's invalidated. Jay, he goes back into pit lane. That's qualifying done. A great effort at the end of qualifying results in Blockman taking pole position for the Brazilian Grand Prix. How about that? Just under 1/10 separating the top two. Yet another brilliant qualifying session at Interlagos. Man, I love this track. Results then from qualifying. Blockman will start from pole position for this Brazilian Grand Prix. 89,000 separating the top two, with Axis starting alongside Blockman on the front row. Rebel will start from P3. Copacabana in his first race for America's Tier 1. He'll start P4 in his home event. Saucy P5, followed by Nanda, Captain Schmeg P7, followed by Nico, JBH, and Jay rounds out the top 10. Smokey P11, followed by Little Mick, Black Baller, Drag King, and Little Mo will be starting from the back in 15th position. Now, a terrific qualifying session. Incredibly tight at the top. It's what you expect to see here at this racetrack. Now, I was informed by Rebel we're set to have a dry race, which is good to hear. Dry weather races tend to be quite exciting, but as you can see, there is some clouds around. You got to remember as well, Race Spec, we use approximate weather, not perfect weather forecast accuracy. So if there's clouds, there's always a chance of rain, especially in real life here in São Paulo, as the real life Grand Prix proved. Hopefully this will be quite a lot of fun. I tend to really enjoy Interlagos in the league racing scene and in the real life racing scene as well. Like I said, you could pick almost any year that includes this racetrack in its calendar, and there's some mega stories that you could find. This track is more than worthy of the reputation it's gained. It's a brilliant racetrack. I'm very glad to know that it's got a contract extension heading towards 2030. It just makes me happy. Knowing that this track isn't going anywhere. At least it's not going on anywhere on paper. It's just, yeah, really good. Now, drivers will be adjusting their setups accordingly. There will be a signal given in the Discord to tell everyone to ready up when it's appropriate. But for now, we just wait patiently for the formation lap to begin. That's something I was going to chat about. I've been a part of a couple of leagues. Oh, there's little Mo's joined the session. He must have DC'd when I wasn't looking. A few leagues have opted to turn off formation lap recently. Apparently there have been some issues in regards to that picked up by certain leagues. So some of them have opted to turn it off. Here though, we've opted to turn it on. Like, I haven't really noticed any issues with formation laps with some of the leagues I've seen. But yeah, apparently some people have picked up on stuff and some leagues have turned it off. Some leagues, like Race Spec, have turned it back on. It's all a bit messed up. But hopefully we don't encounter any game-breaking glitches or race-ruining glitches. Hopefully. Because, yeah, you never really know with Codemasters anymore. Consistency and a refined product, that's not what this game is. It's not refined at all, and it's not consistent. Sometimes it works quite well, and other times it breaks down and turns into a complete mess. It really just sort of depends on the day. Still can't get over all of the pit box markers. They're all backwards. I don't know what. They're all facing the wrong way. You can even see in the Ferrari garage the arrows are pointing towards the pit lane entry, not the pit exit. But why is it back to front? Don't understand. Lined up and away we go for the Formation Lab. Welcome back, Formation Lab. Long time no see. The world of Race Spec. This gives me time to do this and talk about who's starting on what tyre for the race. And it's a mix. There's a proper mix-up in terms of tyre compounds for the start of this Grand Prix. We'll run through the order again. Blockman is starting from pole position here at Interlagos. He's starting on the hard compound tyre. So is Axis in P2, our championship leader. Rebel in P3. Copo Cupado in P4. And Saucy in P5. They're all starting on the hards. Nanda is the first driver to start on a different compound in P6. He's on the mediums. His teammate Captain Schmeg is on the hard tyres. So a split strategy between the two Haas cars. Nico starts from P8, he's on the mediums. JBH starts from 9th, he's on the hard tyre. Jay in the Williams, he rounds out the top 10. He's on the medium compound tyre. Little Smokey here in P11. He's starting on the mediums. Little Mick down in P12 is doing the same. Black Baller P13 is on the hard tyre. Drag King P14 is on the softs. And Little Mo, who hasn't taken control of his car, he's starting from P15. He's on the medium tyre. So we have 6 cars on the mediums. 1 on softs, that means 7. 1, 2, 8 cars. 8, 6, 1, yeah. 8 cars on the hards. Get rid of the tyre graphic for now. Keep our eyes on this start. Blockman starting on the outside, heading towards turn 1. It means then if he gets a poor start, Axis, the championship leader, he'll have the whole shot heading down the inside into the center S. All of them are now lined up, ready to run. Here we go then. 36 laps in front of us, 10 red lights, and we are underway here in São Paulo. It's a nice start from the front row as they head towards turn 1. Axis has the whole shot. He leads, heading through the opening corner, down the hill through turn 2, towards Curva do Sol. The midfield trying to sort themselves out. Saucy and Nanda battling away for P5 as the leaders head on to the Retro-Aposta. Blockman closing in, looking down the inside, heading into Descida do Lago, and he moves through. He retakes the lead. Great stuff between the top two. Up the hill towards turn 6. Running wide is a Mercedes. That has to be Black Baller. And when a virtual safety car has been deployed as Drag King has broken his front wing. Black Baller flick spins back in the right direction. He moves down to last place. So an incident further back. At the front, it was pretty good. Drivers now need to be really, really careful managing the delta. If they drive too fast, they will get a drive-through penalty. It will seriously hamper their race too. VSC still being used. Got to be real careful with that delta. VSC still being used. Those who have damage will be coming into pit lane. So we've got a McLaren, Little Mick, Drag King and Black Baller. They're all coming in. Little Mick gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding. Well, Black Baller actually stayed out. So in his little excursion off the racetrack, he didn't actually get any damage as we're back on the green flag conditions here in São Paulo. Blockman takes off with a 1.1 second lead. Axis needs to get his head down, try and close the gap up to the race leader. Copa Cupado is closing the gap between himself and Axis. Not quite close enough to do anything though at this stage. They head down the hill, round turn 11. 1.2 seconds the margin, the gap extending out. Through the flat-out final sector. The Aston Martin closing in. It's got some straight line speed. Passes the AlphaTauri with ease. Rebel having a slight look down the inside as well. A flurry of fastest laps being set. Leaders head on to the Retro-Aposta. Lap 3 now, DRS is enabled. Rebel close, just not quite close enough as Little Mo gets by Smokey. That's for P10. Up the hill. Round turn 6. Round turn 7. Circuit is properly dark at the moment. You can see a slight shinging on the racetrack. Tons of cloud cover around. No rain as of yet though. 1.3 seconds, the gap between the top two. Round turn south. Turn 12. Round turn 13. 14. Up towards turn 15, the final corner. DRS open. Axis losing ground. Rebel closing in to the inside. Oh, can't quite outbrake the AlphaTauri. They're side by side through turn 1. Side by side through 2, and Rebel, he wins the battle at the entry of turn 3. Saucy just behind, then Nanda, then JBH. Nico having a look but not committing to a move. Captain Schmeg, P9, Little Mo rounds out the top 10. Oh, and a spin! Copa Cupado having a moment at turn 6. He rejoins. Thankfully, the ghosting system is doing its job. Copa Cupado, he kept a level head as well. He didn't push. Let all the traffic through. Now settles in behind Black Baller. He's got a lot of work to do. He's not out of the race, and I don't think he has damage either. Nico behind JBH up the hill. up the gears. He's got battery turned on as well. JBH traditionally has a pretty slippery car in a straight line, so he's going to be really tough to pass. As you can see, he's not quite close enough as Jay overtakes Smokey. That was for P10. Oh, a bit wide. That's Axis, the championship leader. I think he actually has wing damage, looking at that. As JBH gets by. Axis. Yeah, he does. Front wing damage. Front right end plate is missing on that AlphaTauri. He will need to make a pit stop. A terrible situation for the championship leader. He's on the hard tyre. He'll have to pit for mediums. And he's tumbling down through the order. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing he can do about it. Curious then. Who did he make contact with? Result in that happening. Was it Rattle? Was it Saucy? Regardless who it was. He has to try and survive. Oh, he almost had an incident there with Black Baller. Thankfully, Black Baller was able to check up quite significantly and avoid making contact. In comes Axis. Pulls it up nice and sensibly. Front wing will be ready. Same will probably a set of mediums. Down the inside goes Nanda. JB Hay putting up a fight. He's run wide. Nanda moves up to 4th. Set of mediums is exactly what Axis puts on. He just needs to keep hanging in there and hope a safety car comes out at some stage. It's the only thing really that can save his race now. Down the hill, round turn 11. Up towards Junsao, turn 12. Blockman Rebel, now an Alpine 1-2. Blockman's got a healthy margin to his teammate. Saucy in P3 trying to close in as Nico passes JBH down the main straight into turn 1. Moves up to P5 with that move. JBH, can he respond? Find it doubtful. Too far behind. Smokey. Getting passed by Copo Capado. Moves through into P10. Brazilian's still got a fair amount of work to do to recover to where he once was. 2.6 seconds is the margin between himself and JB. Jay in the Williams. But the longer this stint wears on, those hard tyres will come into their own. These mediums will start steadily dropping off as Captain Schmeg slows. Down the inside goes Jay. Didn't fully commit to that move, and as a result, he's lost a whole chunk of time. Copo Capado now only half a second off the Williams. You have to line up something just like Nanda does down the inside at turn 1. Jay just has enough margin to keep the Aston Martin at bay. Sector 2 yellows, Drag King has crashed out, and there is a safety car. Drag King in 15th position has lost control at the entry to turn 11. He's evidently hit a barrier and has destroyed his Alfa Romeo. Our first retirement of the race has resulted in our first safety car of the Grand Prix. 8 laps in. What did the drivers do? Got a fair few hard runners out on track right now. The medium runners can pit. They can pit in for fresh tyres, but what did the hard runners do? Do they do the same? Does everybody pit for fresh tyres? Or will we see everyone stay out? Will it be 50-50? Let's find out. Bit of a gap being made between Blockman and Rebel. Rebel desperately doesn't want. Nanda's coming in. Saucy stays out. Nico comes in. JBH stays out. Mo's in. Captain Schmeg comes in. Jay's in. Copacupado's in. Same with Smokey. Black Baller. These guys further back. Makes a lot of sense to come in. On board here in the Brazilian, you can see all the traffic everyone has to try and deal with. New medium tyres being bolted onto his car. Got new hards on for Jay. Smokey's on hards. Baller's on mediums. The Little Mo on mediums. Nico on hards. Nanda on hards. Rebel on mediums. Same with Blockman. 3 cars staying out. Captain Schmeg, JBH, Saucy. On 8-lap-old hard compound tyres. Well, this was the exact thing Axis needed. Try and get himself back into the fight. Field will bunch up and he'll have an opportunity to try and claw his way through the field. Try and recover as many points as possible. Won't be easy. A lot of drivers ahead of him on fresh tyres. Will not be the easiest cars to pass. And gathering from how his car looks out on track relative to everyone else, it seems that he might be running a high downforce setup, as he does seem to be a little bit lacking in terms of top end speed relative to a few other cars. He's come into pit lane. So what will he do? Set of hards? Will he go back onto the hards that he had at the beginning? Or a new set of mediums? They look like mediums to me. And they go, away he leaves. Now you're only ever allowed 2 sets of mediums. So he doesn't have any fresh mediums left, only used. He's got to remember that. You're only ever allowed 2 sets of this tyre. What changes is how many softs and hards you have. You can have 2 sets of hards or 4 sets of softs. That's the difference between what is it again? It's softer, balanced, and harder tyre allocation. But at all times you have 2 sets of mediums. That doesn't change. Alright, with the field catching up, we might have a late call here from the safety car. Typically the lights go out here. Now, yeah, only a little bit later, so not a huge impact for the race leader, Saucy, who has to control the field. We'll get rid of the tyre graphic just for a minute. We'll turn on the telemetry. Right on board with the Red Bull driver, and keep an eye when he goes to full throttle. The safety car is back in pit lane. Saucy will have every opportunity to slam the accelerator, take off towards turn 1, and he does. JBH up, poor restart. The midfield bunches up. We're back under green flag conditions here at São Paulo. Captain Schmeg on the attack. So is Blockman, 3 wide into turn 1. Down the hill towards turn 2. Running wide is a Ferrari. It's Little Mo. Oh, and around! Crashing through turn 3. We have Captain Schmeg and JBH tumbling down to 13th and 14th. The midfield heading through turn 4, side by side. Running wide, running hugely wide is Nanda in the Haas. In the wall is a Ferrari, and around is Black Baller. A huge crash at turn 5. Little Mick is out of the race. Black Baller has got a completely destroyed front wing, and we have the second safety car of the race. Well, it's well known that safety cars breed other safety cars, and this is a perfect demonstration of that quote. Huge incident at turn 4. Big damage for Black Baller. Axis has damage. JBH has damage. I think Captain Schmeg will have damage. He does. Nanda has damage. Little Mo, he seems to be intact. Jay, his front end plate, I think, is there. Ooh, maybe not. No, it is. It is. So we're going to see a lot of drivers coming in here. Both Haas's, both Mercs, and Axis as well. Getting caught up in the drama. And the restart lap. There goes new front wing. Away he leaves. If I'm not mistaken, he actually gained a place as a result of the double stack for Captain Schmeg. Oh dear, oh dear. Down to 13 as we hit the 1/3 mark of this Grand Prix. 12 laps in, 36 lap race. Still got a long, long way to go. Now, the order of the field is properly shuffled now. Got Saucy at the front, 4 places gained. Blockman down 1, Rebel in the position where he qualified, same with Copa Cupado. Nico up 3, Smokey up 5, Jay up 3, Little Mo up 7, Nanda down 3, Axis down 8, JBH down 2, Captain Schmeg down 5, and Black Baller, well, he's been in the wars, but he's still going. He's in 13th position. Axis has gone back into pit lane, so he's on hards at the moment. He'll probably pit back onto the mediums that he had for the restart. But will the game give him those tyres? He's got 2 sets of worn mediums now. Will they put on the fresher ones? They do. Consider himself lucky. This means now the only driver who has not made a stop in this race is Saucy. He's the only one. Don't know if this will be the right call. He's going to be absolutely surrounded by people with fresh tyres after the restart lap. Blockman more than likely will be on Saucy's gearbox. He might try and go for a move at turn 1. He did on the previous restart lap, so I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do it again. He's on mediums. They're going to have so much more grip than 12 lap old hards. Be a night and day difference. This should be the final lap behind the safety car as well. Safety car will be called back into pit lane. Saucy will control the field. Back everyone up. Heading up the hill towards the main straight. Trying to get some temperature into his tyres. Drivers just need to be careful. They need to be calm. Not do anything silly. Where does he go? You can see the midfield stacking up. There he goes. It's a decent restart from the race leader. He'll head up the hill towards the center S. We're back under green flag conditions here in São Paulo. Got a long way to go. Black Baller gets one. Oh, and around! It's Smokey! In the Alfa Romeo, around at turn 1. He tumbles down to 13th. Out of Curva do Sol, heading onto the Retro Aposta. Battle out in front. Saucy hangs on. The midfield staying as they are. Smokey, a huge moment at turn 1. Now falls down to Lars as Blockman has a look, but does not commit to a move down the inside of turn 8. He's got so much more speed than the Red Bull, so much more grip. Hasn't got anywhere to go though. Stays behind the race leader. Round turn 11. Into Junsao. Using all of the curb. Every inch of it. Blockman looking for a move. He's got the battery turned on. The Red Bull's faster though. Little Mo gets by Jay. Ferrari up to P6. Jay moves down to 8, overtaken by Nanda. Blockman holds on to P2. Rebel not close enough to his teammate to have a crack. Saucy hanging on to the race lead, but for how long? JBH is around at turn 2, bringing out yellows ever so briefly. Black Baller gets by Captain Schmeg, and Saucy's hanging on. The straight line speed in that Red Bull is obvious. It's keeping the Alpines at bay. Blockman cannot find a way through. Perhaps an unorthodox move here at turn 8. Looks but doesn't commit. Round turn 9 as we stare at the apex blankly. Copper Capado, 3-second time penalty. Blockman down the inside before turn 10. Moves through into the race lead. Nanda gets by Little Mo. That's for P6. Oh, and around goes the Ferrari. He's in the grass. He rejoins. He's down in P11. And here comes JBH. Axis gets by Black Baller. JBH trying to go down the inside. There's contact. Oh, and the Ferrari gets loose. He's in the wall. And he's out of the race. Another safety car. Our third of the event. Into the pits goes Smokey. Does not pull it up at all. He gets a speeding penalty. This is for new tyres. Softs, to be exact. Perhaps he was fiddling with the MFD, didn't really know when he needed to brake. That's why he sped as badly as he did. That'll be my guess. Car's getting by the safety car. Dearie me. Third safety car of the race. We are not at the halfway mark yet. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. What does everyone do? Surely Saucy pits in now. He has to. At this point he has to. And he does. Pulls it up. We've got Copper Capado in. We've got Jay in. And that's it in terms of takers to pit lane. Saucy onto a set of mediums. Capado onto a set of mediums. Jay, set of mediums. So they're all going to try and get to the end of the race on these tyres, and I do believe it is possible. But on current numbers, there's a decent chance of a safety car. Another safety car at some point. Alright, what to look at now? The tyres got penalties. Copper Capado with 3, Smokey with 5 seconds. That's because of the speeding penalty we picked up earlier. Those are the tyres. Safety car in this lap. What? Safety car in this lap? It hasn't even... It only just let the leader catch up. The safety car's in. Well, everyone needs to put their foot down and try and catch up to the leader. Blockman, well, ideally, needs to go as early as possible. He can be a gentleman and hold back for as long as he can to allow people to catch up. But ideally, he needs to get on the go juice as early as he can. He takes off now. What a weird safety car period we had here. We're back under green flag conditions. We're now at the halfway point of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Through the Center S. Around Curva do Sol, turn 3. Nanda's close. He's got the overtake switched on. He's got not enough overspeed to pass the Williams of Nico. He stays behind in P4. JBH under pressure from Saucy, who was trying to go around the outside at turn 6. The Red Bull sends it in. The Mercedes hangs on. Oh, almost goes into the back of the Haas, just like the Red Bull did. The Red Bull just giving JBH a little tap there on the gearbox. He heads down the hill and around turn 11. Up towards Junsao turn 12. Missing the apex there by a decent chunk. Try and hit your apexes, can't afford to lose time. Even precious tenths of a second in a race like this, you need every tenth you can find. As Nanda goes down the inside of Nico, moves through into third. Axis trying to follow through. Exiting the center S, he has the inside line at 3. Nico loses control and gathers it up beautifully. He tumbles down the order, but he's still in the race. Saucy having a crack down the inside, heading into Desida do Lago. He gets in front. Nico, maybe a tad bit wide. Axis, a 5-place penalty. Corner cutting and gaining a place. Interesting. Don't really know how that happened, but there you go. Corner cutting and gaining a place. Interesting. Down the hill, round turn 11. An Alpine 1-2 at the moment. Blockman hasn't pulled away from Rebel. But the two Alpines collectively, they've got a bit of a margin to Nanda. A margin of 1 second. Saucy closing in on JBH. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Capado. Oh, close, but not close enough to attack through the center S. Oh, he runs wide! He runs wide. Broke too deep at turn 1. Goes straight on. Loses a place as a result. He might have broke too late and decided to run off the racetrack to make sure he didn't make contact with the car in front. So we'll see a 3-second time penalty. That's at the exit of turn 4. Out of turn 7, he closes in. Has a dive bomb down the inside. JBH sees him late. Round turn 9. Up the hill towards turn 10. That was a risky dive bomb. Oh, and Captain Schmeg's wide. Down the inside goes JBH. He's fighting back. Round turn 11. Heading towards turn 12 as Captain Schmeg leaves the session. That's why his car went off the track, I suppose. He DC'd and the AI took over and drove him off the course. JBH closing in as Rebel takes the lead. Axis moves to P3. Oh, and a collision down the main straightaway. JBH is out. He and Saucy tangled wheels heading towards turn 1, sending the Merc into the wall. He is out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're down to 11. I'm glad I stayed with that angle. Those two cars were dicing hard. Sent each other into the pit lane wall. Could you possibly believe it? $11 cars, and one of them isn't even here. Captain Schmeg has just rejoined as I say that. Thank goodness. And now the Brazilian's left. Capado, hopefully he can find a way back in. JBH has now left the session. Fair enough. Considering he was at the centre of that accident that has brought out this forced safety car. It's only fair that he leaves the session. Everyone's in. You have to take advantage of this, I suppose. The AI of Capado has stayed out. Saucy gets a 5-second for speeding. I imagine the Red Bull has to have a front wing change. It does have a front wing change. Captain Schmeg, he's retired and left the session. So we're actually down to 10 cars. We have started with 15. We are down to 10. And we've still got a whole third of the race to go. Captain Schmeg has actually rejoined the session. Well, he's going to have a shock then. He's going to see that his car has retired out of the race in pit lane. It's that glitch where sometimes you can DC from the lobby and the game just immediately retires your car. That hesitation. I thought he might have deliberately retired the car. He had enough. No, it seems that it was a DC glitch. And thank goodness Copper Capado has found a way back in. He's taken control of his car from the looks of things. He's not come into pit lane, so he's going to stay out on those tyres. Try and make them work. Captain Schmeg has left the session again. It's all happening. What an absolutely bonkers Grand Prix we're having. As it turns out, what this Grand Prix is going to be, I mentioned you can have championship deciding overtakes, incredible comeback drives. Sometimes you have chaos filled Grand Prix, and this is one of them. Over the course of these 23 laps so far, we've had 4 safety cars. 4. So much drama, so much chaos. How much more is left in store for us heading into this final stint of the race? We've got drivers on soft tyres, got drivers out there on mediums, Smokey out there on old hards. You'd just be hoping to finish the race. Couple drivers with penalties. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more during and after this race. They're real slowly at the moment. Far too slowly. Need to catch up. The green lights are back on that car. Safety car is in this lap. 2 to lose safety car. You'll go back into pit lane. Park up. That might be the last time we see the safety car. The AMG GT safety car. Now down to the Brazilian in his home race to restart us once again. The field bunches up. He takes off, switches on the battery, and sends it towards turn 1. We're back under green flag conditions. It's lap 24 of 36. We've got 13 laps to go. Through the center as Blockman. Black Baller, separated by not much. Heading around turn 3. Blockman looking around the outside. In front, Jay's under pressure from Rebel, who goes down the inside. Black Baller has an Alpine all over the back of him, but can't find the way through. Blockman will stay in 5th place. The leaders head up the hill. Round turn 6. Round turn 7. Towards the hairpin at turn 8. No one's sending it here. Bit wide for Jay. Black Bullet on these fresh, soft tyres. He's got pace. He's got the inside line. He dives it in. Jay leaves room. Side-by-side action behind as the championship leaders duel it out for 5th place on track. Blockman round the outside. Axis down the inside. The championship leader moves in front, but only just. A drag race, round turn 14. They make wheel-to-wheel contact as they head through turn 15. Now drag racing towards turn 1. Axis has the inside line. Blockman sends it round the long way. Can't quite do it. Axis makes his way through into 4th. Blockman to 5th. Saucy down the order. He spins at turn 2. Drops down to P10 as Rebel now leads here at Sao Paulo. Black Baller under pressure now from Axis. Smokey moves through on Nico. Nico fighting back. Smokey is wide. Drops down to P9. Axis closing the gap up. Trying to go for third. Round the hairpin. Up towards turn 10. Third gear. Getting back on the power. Down the hill. Round turn 11. Axis not quite close enough. Oh, he might have given in Black Baller a little bit of a tap there. Blockman will make his way through. Baller down to 5th. Axis up to 3rd, but for how long? Blockman in the slipstream, looks around the outside, heading into the center S. Baller tries to fire it back through. He wasn't quite close enough to make that dive bomb work. So he stays in 5th as Blockman opens DRS, closes in on the AlphaTauri, and Axis can do very little about this. Blockman moves up to 3rd. The best thing he can do is basically glue himself on the back of that Alpine and wait until the next DRS zone to try and make a move. Try and get 3rd place back. Kopu Kupada doing well in 2nd position on those old mediums. He needs to stay within that 1 second range as he loses the back end ever so slightly. You can see that gap extend. He won't have DRS. He's going to lose time to the group behind, hunting him down on soft tyres. Switching on the battery. Man pulling a margin of 5.5 tenths. Axis will cut that down thanks to the power of DRS. It won't be enough though to attack into turn 1. But he might be able to set something up down the Retro Aposta as Nanda moves through on J. That is for P6. Axis, Blockman, drag racing towards turn 4. Blockman wins the battle for now. 2 tenths separating our championship leaders. This is where this group, this 3-car group, they're going to gain a lot of time on the Aston Martin in front. Cutting the gap down. It's down to 1.1, down to 9 tenths. Every corner they go through, they gain chunks of time. Nico gets by Jay. 2 Williams change places. It's Blockman. He gets ready to try and set up a move for 2nd. DRS open. Closing the gap. He's gaining speed. He's gaining momentum. Not enough to attack into turn 1. Round turn 2. Round 3. Full throttle. Hugging the inside line. DRS open. Looks round the long way. J, a 3-second time penalty. Kopu Capado trying to hang on, but he doesn't have the grip. He moves down to 3rd. Axis needs to find a way through as soon as possible. He can't let Blockman break away. Will he dive bomb here at turn 8? Surely he has to. He can't. He's not close enough. Oh, in fact, Black Baller had a better shot at dive bombing. Got a great run. Axis close. Not close enough. Look at that gap extend. This is hurting Axis. Looks to the inside. Can't find a way through. You'll have DRS, but so will the Aston Martin. The Aston's got good straight line speed. He's not close enough. No way he's close enough. Down the hill through the center S. An Alpine 1-2 at the front of the field. Trying to pull away from this group. Axis with a good run, but the Aston's got legs. Papa Capado trying to fight around the outside. I think the two might have made contact there at turn 4. The Brazilian holds 3rd. The championship leader's trying to take it away around the outside at turn 6. He's got grip. He's got the speed. On the racing line, he takes third. A crucial overtake. But he's got a problem. The gap between himself and Blockman is now 1.6 seconds. And that's going to be incredibly tough to close up. That might be it. His chance for a win out the window. But considering the race he's had, I think he'll take a podium finish. It might have been much, much worse for Axis. The safety cars have helped him out a treat. Getting him back in the fight. Rebel Blockman, 1 and 2. 7/10 separating the two cars. Blockman will close the gap, but not by enough. What about Copper Capado? He looks down the inside at turn 4. He's not done. Maybe a bit wide. Axis looks underneath him at turn 5. It's a repeat of the previous lap. Axis round the outside. Can't quite get it done this time around. Brazilian takes third. All this battling, holding Axis back, is letting the Alpines drive off into the distance. They're loving it. Setting up another form finish. There's the leaders. Copper Capado holding third. Making his way out of Junsao. Axis. Round the outside. Takes third. Will he stay there though? Needs a really good run through the center S, and that's not a great start. Getting on the power really early, entering turn 3. The Brazilian's going to have a go. Down the inside, and there's nothing Axis can do about it. He goes back down to 4th. Oh, tad bit wide there. The car got a bit loose. But he keeps it under control. Around the hairpin at turn 8. Just clipping the apex there. Round the sweeper of 9. Back and forth battle for third place. Ultimately meaningless thanks to the time penalty that Copper Capado has. Oh, hello, Saucy. Around at turn 7. He'll rejoin, but lost a tremendous amount of time. Basically guaranteeing he's going to finish 10th. A change for the lead. Rebel letting his teammate through. Blockman takes the lead. Axis moves up to 3rd in the process of the leaders changing places. Coppo, what are you going to do here? Opens DRS, dumps the battery too. The overspeed is massive. And he retakes 3rd. Back and forth between these two cars. If only the penalty wasn't a thing, it might have been an incredible battle between these two, but it's ultimately meaningless thanks to that pen. Unless, of course, he can somehow remove it. Find it doubtful, though. 3-second penalties are quite difficult to remove. You need to make sure you have the race director save, and you need to have a fairly legitimate excuse that one of your warnings is not valid. You need to argue that you were pushed off the circuit or something like that in order to get a warning removed. And around goes Saucy again at turn 7. Once again the AlphaTauri closes in, passes the Aston Martin. But I don't doubt we're going to see them switch places again, heading down into turn 4. Is the gap enough? 4/10. Will Coppo go? Looks. Oh, he gave it a red hot go. But the margin was just enough this time around as Nanda gets a 3-second time penalty. Around the hairpin at turn 8. Black Baller hovering behind. He's set for a top 5. He'll be happy with that, I'm sure. Blockman and Rebel leading the way. Saucy retires from the race. I don't know if he'll even be classified. Don't know if he's actually made the cut. Fastest lap, Rebel has that extra point. He's the only driver in the 9s actually. So Blockman, he won't get a full complement of points, but he will take a chunk out of Axis's lead in the Drivers' Championship. In fact, if the positions stay as they are, the lead will cut down from 19 to 9 heading into the next round of the championship. It's just a few parade laps for our Alpine crew. Don't need to push ridiculously hard. They have margin in hand. Just need to get through a couple more laps and victory shall be theirs. Axis, I'm afraid, has run out of time, run out of tyres, run out of resources to try and hunt down the leading 2 cars. He doesn't have DRS either, which makes the job all the more impossible. And now he's got a Brazilian closing in, looking to his inside, down the inside at turn 1. The two might have made contact there. It looked pretty awkward there at the first corner. Axis holds on to 3rd. Capado fighting back though, closing the gap, looking to the inside, sending it in a bit harder. The two don't make contact and Axis holds on to 3rd on track. It's been a terrific duel between these two. It's a pity that penalty spoils it all. Black Ball is sitting in 5th, just be kind of hoping that the two in front tangle and he can gain a couple of positions. Get a sneaky podium finish here at Interlagos. I'm sure he'd like that very dearly. Round Junsao for the second last time. Blockman with a clear track ahead of him. Smokey with a 3-second time penalty. We have got one more lap to go here at Interlagos. Lap 36 of 36 has begun. Down the hill through the Center S, keeping the cars within the white lines. Rebel just following his teammate, looking to make it a form finish. One final crack perhaps from the Brazilian, down the inside at turn 4, he gets it done. Moves back up to P3. Those soft tyres have definitely seen better days now after 14 laps. It won't be much better than those mediums on the Aston Martin. Will Axis just settle behind and let the penalties do the talking, or will he fight back and try and finish legitimately on the podium? We'll find out in a few moments' time. Oh, and a moment there from Copacabana. A huge moment. No puncture, he did that by himself. A mistake there in the middle of the middle sector. He drops down to 5th. Out in front though, a terrific drive from the Alpine crew. Blockman wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. Rebel home in 2nd. Axis will complete the podium places in 3rd. Black Baller in 4th. Copacabana in his first race in Tier 1 finishes 5th in front of Nanda, Nico. Both Williams in the top 10, Jay in 8th. Smokey will be our final finisher in 9th. As Copacabana retires and he gets demoted down the order for some reason. So we'll fix that after the race. Black Baller given driver of the day. We move on to the podium celebrations. An Alpine 1-2 after a chaos-filled Brazilian Grand Prix. Blockman is your race winner. Rebel home in 2nd. Championship leader Axis completes the podium, places in third. The unofficial results then of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Blockman is your race winner by just over a second to his teammate Rebel, and Axis completes the podium, places in third. Black Baller from 13th on the grid finishes 4th and gets driver of the day. Nanda home in P5, followed by Nico J. Smokey. Yes, Copper Capado. He actually finishes P5, so Nanda finishes 6th, followed by Nico 7th, J 8th. Smokey would actually finish in 9th. Retirements from the race, and I thought he retired too soon. Saucy will score nothing. Captain Schmeg, nothing. Same with JBH, Little Mo, Little Mick, and Drag King, our first retirement of the race. We started with 15, we ended with 9. So much drama, so much action, so much chaos, so much racing. Little wonder why this is one of the best circuits in Formula One. Another week in the books with Race Spec. I'll do one more commentary stint this week. Lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. Big congratulations to our top 3. Another W for Blockman, making the championship fight all the more intense. Only 9 points will separate these two heading into the next round. Of course, that's only provisional. There might be reports that change things up. You never know. But heading into the next round, the championship fight is getting all the more intense, and we've got a doozy of a round coming up next week. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to wrap up the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we will see you next week for round 12 of the championship at Las Vegas Grand Prix circuit for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the first ever for the America Series. Until then, it's goodbye.